We feel very sad because Liu Xiaobo cannot enjoy freedom in his last hour. That's all his wish is. In his last hour, he can be free and have medical treatment outside so that he can have freedom with his family, his wife, and his friends. But his very moderate or small wishes was denied by the Communist Party in China, Xi Jinping, despite their call by demonstrators or protests in Hong Kong, their international pressure on Xi Jinping, but he turned a deaf ear. When you look at Liu Xiaobo, his death show very much that China don't have any regard for life, regard for human rights, and of course not just Liu Xiaobo. When you look at all the human rights lawyers, labor activists, are being jailed for just exercising their freedom of speech, you can see this regime would not allow any dissent voice, and so the whole China is like a jail now.
This is to let the Nobel Peace Laureates die in custody instead of allowing him to go abroad is...
Well, Amnesty International is shocked by the disgraceful way in which the Chinese government has handled Liu Xiaobo's final days, denying him freedom and the ability to seek medical treatment abroad. Today, Amnesty International calls the Chinese government to allow his wife, Liu Xia, to travel freely. She's been maintained under house arrest for the past few years, and it's certainly the intent of the Chinese government to keep her for many more years. The international community must stand up and act to avoid the same kind of failure that we've seen with Liu Xiaobo, where the failure to speak out, to call out Beijing for its action, resulted ultimately in Beijing being intransigent and the Nobel Peace Laureate dying in custody.
Why the Chinese government was so determined to silence his voice. And it will come as a great surprise to many Chinese people abroad who will learn about his death.
So it's a huge loss for China and for the world, but the ideals that he fought for are certainly going to survive. His legacy is really something that inspires millions of people around the world to speak truth to power, to demand justice, and to exercise their rights to freedom of expression. And that is something that really terrified the rulers in Beijing.
No immediate support for Liu Xiaobo. I think that the power of his ideas is long-lasting, and that people will continue to turn to his inspiring word and his example.